sign. Look at a bag. A bag. Yes. What's cracking, everybody? Oh, I'm pumped. I'm pumped because this is the longest I've ever waited for a camera. And it's been about 18 months before they even created it and it existed. I was like, come on, bring it on. And I'll tell you why in the course of this video. But should we have a look inside the box? Because I haven't yet. But I'm excited too. There was someone drilling outside before. I had to wait till they stopped, otherwise the audio would be unbearable. But as we know, we flip open this and we get this sort of inside look. Got the charger. Battery is the same, I believe, as the Z5 and the Z6 and the Z7, but not the Z9 because it doesn't have a handle grip. I don't know how many of these I've got. Not used any of them. I don't think ever. USB-C charging. Still USB to USB. It's old, isn't it? A cable for the charger. Battery. Very important. And some plastic things I'll work out later on. Here it is. The moment we've all been waiting for. Well, I've been waiting for. I know some of you have been waiting for it too. Oh, it smells so good. Oh, smells so good. I ordered this from Nikon, which you may be like, it's a Nikon or a Nikon camera. The reason I did is because everywhere else on the pre-sale was exactly the same price, and I knew that if I ordered it from Nikon, they'd send it to their customers who ordered from them first, surely, before they shipped out the others. And that's exactly what's happened. So I've got this, not before it's released, obviously, but about as quick as you can get it since it's been released. And so it's in my hands now, and it feels good. Like it feels good, which brings me to my first point. I just went to Tasmania and did some street photography, some night photography, some nature photography, some all of that with my Z9. I'm trying to say Z rather than Z. I'm trying with my Z9. And it's a big camera. Like you feel ridiculous when you're walking around the streets with it. You feel like a pro when you walk into a studio. And that's primarily what it's for. My kids call it the two-handed camera or something because it has a vertical grip, because it has this grip. We've now replaced it with this, and as you can see, they're the sizes. Let me get my hand out of the way. They're the sizes. Z6, so Z8 and the Z6. That's how different they are. So they're about the same width, they're about the same depth, but the Z8 is taller. But taller is okay. I don't mind taller, because that brings me to the second reason I wanted the Z8. And that is because I want the autofocus of the Z9 in the Z8 with the flexibility of a smaller body that I can carry around rather than lugging this massive monstrosity around. So I can use this now for some of my professional work in my studio, go out and about, organizations and businesses. That's what I will bring. Or if I'm going on not a long hike, but I need a lot of battery power, that's what this will come in handy for. But this will now be the primo body that I carry everywhere because of its autofocus. And the reason autofocus is important for me is because frequently if I'm going out with the kids, or I'm going to do some wildlife shots, or I'm going to do some street photography, what I found with the Z6 is it lost focus and you miss too many shots. With the Z9, I captured those shots. When I just went to Tassie and we're in 4-meter swells going up and down, I've got my 600mm on and I'm trying to take a photo of a seal. Ta-da, seal. To get that sort of focus, it had to be autofocus. And I needed the firepower of the Z9 put in to the Z8 so that I could enjoy it. Listen. It's a special moment, isn't it? Screen goes down, goes up fully, doesn't go down fully, be good if it did, and it pops out to this way. So I have this sort of 90-degree vantage point, which is handy. Especially if I'm doing like a shot like this. What I would love though is if it had the ability to do this. All right, we're on the way, and spin it around the world. No, I knew it didn't. And I know it doesn't do the front facing thing. The ZFC, the Z30, they have this front fully articulating. Love it. Vlog with it all the time. To be honest, it would be handy to have this in maybe an extra 10% of cases. But not having it is not a deal breaker for me. I know for some of you it is, but not for me. Down here you have a function button, and you have two function buttons here and here. I've got a video about how I set them up, which I'll put at the end of this video, which you can enjoy should that be something you want to learn from. On the back we've got the play button down here, which is really good for the thumb. It's so good that it's not over here, because often you're holding your lens and you don't want to back off the lens to grab here. So that's really good, Nikon. You've really, you've learnt. That sounds so arrogant, doesn't it? But thank you. It's good. So it's down here. Now I have my playback button just here that you can punch. You have your joystick, your autofocus. I use back button autofocus all the time. Now, funny story, when I first programmed it, I thought my lens was broken. I was doing this shoot with some kids at school, and I'm like, why isn't my camera? And I realized that night I'd reprogrammed this. Now, good as gold. When I first started, oh boy. It's got all the other controls that you would hope. It's got an aperture. You can choose your ISO to auto on the front, or change it on the back. You've got your video record there. You've got your video record button. It's like the layout of the Z6 that they've just done a better job thinking about, because they've changed the playback button from up here to down here, and they put the choice of shutter options from there, they put it up here, which I'm going to move in this. I'm going to put it on the function button here, because I found I fiddle around by going up here, and it's a little bit annoying. What else to say about this camera? What do you want to know? Put your questions down below and I will answer them, because I'll take it out in the field in the next video and we'll have a play with it and see what it can really do. But let's stick a battery in for now, see how that goes. Flick it down as with all the other Z's apart from the 9. That's how that goes in, just clicks in like that. If I turn it on, there is a little bit of battery in it. Hello. And I can go another one around here, and it lights up the buttons at the back. It highlights the buttons, so it's really good for astro, or you do street photography at night, or it illuminates your LCD right there. Whoops. You don't know what happened, but basically that was 2 hours ago, that first part, and my audio stuffed up, as well as the new camera was acting a bit dodgy, so I had to do a bit of fixing this, because it has this red flashing timeline, and you're like, what the heck is that? It turns out that the first thing you have to do on the camera is set the time. So when you see the flashing light, it doesn't do what you want it to do, you have to set the time. Then you have to make sure the battery's all charged, and I've put in an XQD card, which is now formatted. So there's an XQD and an SD. They can run from one to another, or you can use them both individually, or both to back up. So you can put your video on this and your photos on this one, or you can run them straight from this one into that one. I'm going to use the XQD that's in there, and you should use a CF Express because they're cheaper. But I've got XQD cards because the Z6 had XQD cards. So I just bunged an XQD card in there, formatted that. I need to put an SD card in there next. Tucks away nicely. I don't mind that. Some people do get upset about that. The Z9 is a little bit more like you have to push it down to get it out. But the Z8, pretty happy with that. On the other side, you've got the cables. So in the top portion, you've got your full size HDMI, you've got your audio out and your headphone jack, and then down below you've got two USB-Cs, very high speed. One's for power, one's for data. They tuck away very nicely. On top you have your equivalent to what used to be a mode dial, but here your mode, and you select manual, aperture priority, shutter priority, or P, which is the equivalent to an auto. I shoot on manual like practically all the time. I can't think of the last time I used aperture or shutter speed, but they're there. Here we have our frames per second and shooting ratio. So there you can access the timer and select your timer. You have 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and 2 seconds. You can access whether you shoot 20 frames a second RAW, or you can choose 120 frames a second JPEG. As soon as you go over 20 frames a second RAW to 30, that automatically bumps you into JPEG territory. So you could say, oh, I'll try and trick it and shoot faster. It'll just create JPEGs for you rather than RAW. Then we have our bracketing option, and so you can choose how many brackets you have and how many stops of bracketing shot it takes. Then you can select your white balance by going to the back, and you can be very detailed about what you select and how you select it. So I just like to shoot it on neutral, and I'll fix it up later depending on the feel I want. But sometimes a standard is better than auto, because auto can fluctuate a little bit, and if you have a standard, at least you know where your baseline is. And then let's take this off. So I'm going to turn this off, take this off, and it has our trusty shutter curtain, which is one of the big wins I have for this, because I do a lot of sea shooting and around dust and that sort of stuff. And the Z6, when you take off the cover, it gives you a naked your sensor, and I always get, you get stuff stuck in your sensor, and it's just annoying, especially if you're doing video. Then it's unbelievably annoying. But the Z8's got this nice curtain. Doesn't mean it's dust proof, but it goes a long way to quickly changing your lenses. So I was gonna then take this outside and do some shooting with the kids, running around and show you what the autofocus is like. But my monitor that I've recently had broke, and so I had to send that away. And now it's getting fixed. It is fixed, and it's getting sent back. I had to send it all the way to China at my expense. So I was a bit dark about that. I let them know that anyway. So that's coming back. So as soon as that's back, I'm going to create a video showing you what it performs like and how it performs. And we might go and find some birds that move real quick, or maybe my kids, or we'll just muck about with the autofocus, and you can see what options you have and if this is a good investment for you. But thanks so much for watching. I hope you've got something out of this and you've learned something about it. If you're contemplating buying this camera, I bought it because it's smaller. It's got epic autofocus and has the processing power that the Z9 has, which means it's better in low light. It takes good video. It takes up to like 8K video on this. That's insane. So I'll have a bit of a play. I'll experiment, and I'll bring you along on the way. If you'd like to subscribe, if you're new to the channel, please do. Love to get to know you. Please leave a comment. Let's have a chat. Thumbs up as always, and ring the bell. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.